All right, thank you, Onyida, for that wonderful introduction. Well, on the Flash News, we see the special report and this week what it has been like for Ambazonia and the entire globe. And we see that in a week where global powers clashed across airwaves, deserts, and diplomatic stages, the world once again teetered on the edge of escalation. Well, we see Trump's unyielding grip on the United States foreign policy with Iran's explosive standoff to Trump's unyielding grip on the United States foreign policy. The international order is shifting with unsettling speed. Yet in the midst of these tectonic movements, one war remains stubbornly invisible, which is Ambazonia's. Now, while ceasefires are negotiated in high offices and military budgets climb in the name of defense, we see Ambazonians enduring violence, hunger, and abandonment with no audience, no outrage, and no intervention. The war doesn't pause for summit. It doesn't wait for headlines. Now, when the giants of the world roars, we wonder who hears the cry of the abandoned. Well, this is the Flash News, and welcome. Now, while the world's camera turns to the desert flashpoints of the Middle East and the polished halls of Western diplomacy, the war in Ambazonia continues, largely unrecorded, scarcely acknowledged, and bitterly endured. Now, it is a war without daily headlines, a crisis without donors, a struggle that is as invisible as it is intense. Yet this week, like many before it, saw no shortage of chaos and quiet defiance. On Monday, June 23rd, 2025, it opened with a familiar symbol of national resistance, the ghost town across the Amazonian homeland. Markets were shuttered. We see streets lay bare and citizens withdrew into silence, not as a surrender, but as a collective act to protest. In a world where oppression is normalized, silence has become the only language that the oppressed can weaponize. But then, the silence was violently interrupted. Gunmen in Bamenda's and Quain neighborhood abducted 3 individuals, including a pregnant woman, further blurring the line between victim and collateral. While in the same city, erratic gunfire echoed through the night, sending families scrambling for shelter. The state may call it disorder. The people know it as survival. Now, elsewhere, fire outbreaks rocked Victoria amid a mounting collapse of urban infrastructure. We see farmers in Ambazonia's fertile valleys reported systematic sabotage by the colonial agents undermining rice production at a time when food scarcity looms. In Bamenda, the unveiling of a gas plant disguised as development only exposed once more the exploitative logic of colonial occupation. Extract resources, sell dreams, and leave the people starved of both fuel and freedom. Now, amid hunger and heartbreak, despair wears new disguises. Job scammers preyed on war-weary youths, desperate for a way out. Butchers blame prices hikes in cow meat on the difficulty of transporting livestock through unsafe roads. Another reminder that war doesn't just kill people, it starves communities, shrinks economies, and deforms dignity. Meanwhile, in Bowie County, resistance forces reportedly ambushed colonial troops in yet another flash of retaliatory fire. The Amazonian government in exile declared Cameroonian propagandist Issa Chiroma persona non grata, issuing warnings against electoral collaborations with the occupying regime. But even within Amazonian leadership, fractures emerged as fresh allegations against the president in exile stirred debate over transparency, loyalty, and direction. But through it all, the Amazonian diaspora clings to culture, singing songs of home from lands that offer safety but never full belonging. The war, it seems, follows them too, in memory, in identity, and in longing. Well, before we get to our panelists, let's take a look at the global scope. When we see Ambazonia's war, what does the war around the globe say, particularly with Israel and Iran? 12 days of ferocious military confrontation between Israel and Iran have ended, but not in resolution, only in strategic pause. A ceasefire was declared, but neither side appears ready to commit to lasting peace. For both, the confrontation has become as much about perception as it is about survival. In Tehran, crowds celebrated what the regime branded a show of resilience. In Jerusalem, Netanyahu declared a generational triumph, 2 victories from 1 war, yet only one truth will prevail. Behind the political theater, the reality is sobering. Dozens of Iranian scientists, chemists, engineers, and nuclear physicists were assassinated in surgical Israeli strikes. These targeted killings, while praised in some security circles, have stirred global ethical debate. Can peace ever emerge from the silence of the silenced? Is the question. But then from Iran, the loss may have set back their nuclear ambition, but it has not extinguished them. In Israel, the sense of existential danger has only deepened. Meanwhile, in Gaza, the bombs never stopped falling. The ceasefire with Iran did not extend to Palestinians, and Israeli military operations against Hamas continue with chilling precision. Humanitarian corridors exist only in theory. On the ground, aid trucks are blocked, medical facilities are bombed, and civilian casualties mount. The ceasefire, in essence, has become a tale of selective quiet, a staged truce on one front and unrelenting fire on another. Diplomacy dances on a tightrope strung over civilian graves.